upon a time, long, long ago, is how fairy tales begin. But even if our story seems sometime highly improbable, nevertheless, it really happened.
Rusky Potok, a lesson in democracy in Czechoslovakia.
We are in one of the far-flung corners of the Republic, a stone's throw away from the point where three states, Czechoslovakia, Poland and the Soviet Union, converge. According to the legend, a serf fleeing from a feudal lord found refuge in this peaceful valley in the eastern Carpathians. It was he who founded the first settlement of Rusky Potok. All roads end here. This place seems long forgotten by presidents and emperors, and even by God himself. Ruthenians have been settled in this corner of the country since time immemorial. They call themselves the Rusnaci. Officials and scholars usually refer to them as Ruthenian Ukrainians. The village inn dominates the village square. Not a very inviting place to have a drink at, but for the people here it is the focal point of their existence. The harsh quality of the landscape in this area is reflected in the character of its inhabitants, alongside a unique tenderness of the soul. It is as if the melancholy beauty of the place has created an eternal harmony, a romantic idyll, untroubled by the problems of the world, of society at large. It is June 1990.
Attention, attention. The local council of Ruský Potok hereby announces to the public that the voting in the free democratic elections has begun for the People's Chamber, the Slovak National Council. Participation in the elections is entirely voluntary. Those wishing to vote can, those who don't need not. The polling station is in the assembly room of the local council.
About 300 people live here, and as it is impossible to have any secrets from each other, world events in general and politics in particular have an especially domestic flavor and dimensions which are easily comprehensible. The man who everyone calls Mikola has, as a true landlord, the undisputed general view of affairs.
What's the latest in Ruský Potok?
Welcome to the Ukraine. At present everything is running smoothly. We shall soon be having new democratic elections here.
Why soon? The elections have already begun.
They begin today.
Who do you think is going to win?
We don't know yet. The best party.
How many parties are participating in Ruský Potok?
Only one.
Which one?
The communists.
Do they still exist?
Yes, but only just.
How many members do they have?
3. 2 other persons and myself.
And how many members did they have before?
5. 2 have resigned. We still manage to keep going though.
Are you willing to tell me who you are going to vote for?
I don't know. We don't know yet. But we're sure to find someone on the list.
Budeme vidieť, vybereme tak, čo z toho papíra. To je z toho papíra, čo vybereme.
Which party do you favor?
Najbližšie. A najbližšie si tak dúfam.
List number 5 and list number 10.
Piatku z tých čísel a desiatku. Hej.
List number 5 is the Public Against Violence and list number 10 is the Communist Party.
Yes, the communists. They haven't done anything bad. They haven't done much good either, but life wasn't too bad under them.
Under the communists?
Yes.
Didn't anyone want to found another party here?
Up to now, there was no time. The election campaign has only just begun. No one really knows which party is which is good and which is bad. We're waiting until the elections are over. We shall see which is the best party then.
But in Ruský Potok it seems only communists are still active here.
Yes, some are still active.
But we have true democracy. They can still participate, of course.
Yes, they can if they want to. Perhaps we shall gain more support. Perhaps the communists will get the majority of votes. We may even win.
Do you really think so?
Yes, because the Communist Party is the richest party in Czechoslovakia.
When I desperately needed something, when I was in difficulty, I went to the party for help.
And did the party help?
Yes, it did.
What do the people in Ruský Potok want? Do they want the communists or not?
Yes and no, 50-50. You see, life hasn't been too bad here so far, and it should have gone on getting better. Even the poorest of the poor were given some social assistance. Who knows if it will still be like that after the elections?
When are you going to vote?
There's plenty of time till 2 o'clock tomorrow. We're going straight away. We shall put our ballot papers into the ballot box and that's it.
God grant that things will improve. We shall all support one party now, a truly democratic one, the best of all, so that peace and love rule the world, and people live together in brotherhood after the elections. Yes, we communists support such aims too. We won't found any other parties, but we'll do everything according to Mr. Havel, our president. We shall do what he says, no more and no less.
Why did you resign from the party?
I haven't resigned yet.
Are you one of the 3 people still in the party?
Yes, there were 18 of us.
You aren't going to resign then?
Not yet.
The Communist Party has lost a lot of members recently. Why?
Well, how should I explain? Up at the top, there's total chaos at the moment. The cause is the big change, the perestroika, as Gorbachev called it. It's caused hatred, things going from bad to worse everywhere, so that people are prepared to kill each other. They do kill each other even.
The president doesn't want the communists to remain in power.
He will have to adapt himself to us. He can't do as he pleases. What if we get a majority? Well, he'll just have to adapt himself to us, even though he is popular with the older generation. The old folk remember what it was like in the old days when popery ruled the roost. Everyone was forced to work for the priest. It was all poverty and misery then.
You don't say, why don't you tell them if they increase prices, they should increase wages too? The 140 crown increase gets us nowhere.
Okay, man, okay. What the people know is that up to now, we've had a good standard of living in Czechoslovakia.
Is your father still alive?
Yes, but he has had a bad leg for over 3 years and he can't get to the toilet anymore. But he was a communist, and that's why I voted for the communists. I haven't got anything against them.
Thank you. All the best. Good luck.
Thank you too.
The villagers were always God-fearing and devout. Even the communists could not dispel their belief in divine justice. Why should they, as they acknowledge the harmony of the universe themselves, they thereby acknowledge Christianity?
In February it will be 3 years since I began to do God's work here in Rusky Potok. I feel that the people here are modest, honest and God-fearing, and so I live with them here.
Святий Боже, святий кріпкий, святий безсмертний, помила слава Отцу і Сину Святому і Духу, нині присно во віки віков.
A baby was christened, Thomas, in the 250-year-old Orthodox Church on election day.
Уеже возможет крест взятый спасение. Крещается раб Божий Томаш, в имя Отца, Аминь, Сына, Аминь, Духа Святого.
Я живу в Lovosicách za Prahou.
I live in Lovosice near Prague. As long as my father was alive, we used to spend our holidays here. We came twice a year. Mother is still alive. We don't want to let the house go to wreck and ruin. In a way, I like the place. The villagers could do with more culture. They only have the inn. Parents don't want their children to grow up knowing only the inn.
Lodi odchodili, ľudia potrebovali tú kultúru. Tu jedna kultúra je korčma. Pro deti nie je nič takové. A oni nechotí, żeby ich deti vyrostali v korčmi. Môj ňaňko položil legitimáciu tu.
My father left the party. He thought with that lot we won't get anywhere. They didn't achieve anything worthwhile. I think people should go and vote. In any case, they want to do so. An elderly lady told me that she wasn't allowed to vote in the first elections. They told her to throw her ballot paper away. I went to the polling station with my ballot papers, but they turned me away.
Why did they do that?
So I couldn't vote. They said I was crazy, abnormal. Excuse me swearing, but they said shit on the Czechs. And I said, how can you talk like that? We are brothers and sisters. I've worked among Czechs since my early childhood. How can you say such things? And that guy in the polling station repeated, I say shit on the Czechs. I still have one list of candidates at home. They tore up 2 of them.
Ruským Potoci ja uču 11 rokів.
I've been teaching in Rusky Potok for 11 years. There have been quite a lot of changes during that time. Compared with the schools in the neighboring villages, we still have 13 pupils. That's quite a lot.
Perspektíva Ruským Potoci, čo sa týka ľudí mladých, je dosť dobrá. Keď porovnáme školu s okolitými selami, tak máme ešte tu 13 detí. Kde je všetko? No, pod zemou. A kde ho nájdeme? Kde ho nájdeme? Môžeme ho pozorovať. No, v záhrade, kde. Ľudia do roboty musia dochodzovať.
There's no work in this area except in forestry. The mountain soil is infertile. The future doesn't look very rosy for Rusky Potok.
Taká perspektíva do budúcnosti v Ruským Potoci nie je najlepšia.
Komunisti robili aj bordel.
The place went to rack and ruin under the communists, and they robbed us into the bargain. The way they ran the economy in the past few years was beyond belief. They got too big for their boots. We, the underdogs, had no say in anything anymore. We were simply overruled. They were up on top. They thought they were infallible. To hell with the rest of us. That was their attitude. At one time, we had horses, bulls, cows. Now we have nothing. The state took everything. The fields are not cultivated. People run away into the towns. My only son has gone to live in Moravia because things are better there. There's only us two old ones left here now.
Jesus Christ be praised, madam.
Praised for all eternity.
Tell me, what's life like here in Ruský Potok?
It's a very poor sort of existence. I raised a family, but you can see what the house looks like. It's whitewashed inside, but there's no mortar left on the outside. The rain has washed the sand out of the cement. I'm like a poor orphan. Sometimes I fancy a nice hot meal, but there's no one here to cook it for me. I'm over 83 years old.
One has to carry on somehow. Where can one go at the end of one's life?
How old are you?
67.
Are you all alone in the house?
No, there's my wife.
Where are your children?
One son lives in Michalovce and the other in Humene. My married daughter lives here in the village.
How many children did you have?
5. One girl died. One daughter married someone from the neighboring village. She died young, though. Her youngest was 4. My son, who lives in Pilsen, took her in. She is 16 now. All my children have gone away. The youngest is in Banská Bystrica. He married a Slovak girl.
So none of your family wants to come back and live in Ruský Potok?
No, nobody.
Did you ever suggest it?
It's no use. The house is in good repair, but who wants to move from the town to a village? They will come back one day. They'll have to.
What makes you say that?
Because everything is getting more expensive. Wages are too low. They won't be able to pay the rent. Then they'll have to come back to their parental home.
There, so you have taken a photo of me. So you have an old woman to show the world. I only speak the truth. Up to now, we had a good standard of living, even if it was under the communists. Sure, it was hard at the start. When we had fattened a pig, we weren't allowed to slaughter it. And those who slaughtered theirs illegally had to stuff a wooden rolling pin down its throat to stop it squealing. Otherwise, you had to give it all up. Milk, eggs, potatoes and fat were requisitioned by the state. But as time went on, everyone had enough to eat. Then it wasn't requisitioned any longer. Today things are changing again. Everything is becoming dearer. Up to now I got 1,000 crowns. It's true, pensions have been increased to 1,340 crowns, but I have a feeling everything will get more expensive.
Have you ever thought of moving away from here?
No, never. My parents, my grandparents and my great-grandparents were all born here. I feel it's part of our family tradition.
No a je to kus tradície a života že tu a kus našej drena v tom kraji.
The village looks as if a bomb has hit it. Don't you get that impression too?
Yes, sometimes.
What do the younger generation want to do to change things?
The younger generation would like to make more changes, whereas the older generation don't want to.
Some were very well off. They will probably benefit and the rest will be worse off. Excuse me, but it's like this. One pick at the trough will always get most, while the rest get hardly anything. I expect you are in a better position to judge whether the future will be good or bad, because you've seen the world. May God bless all those men at the top with a good judgment and with a love for their fellow men. Love one another as you love yourselves, and that there is no war. My life is almost over now, but the young deserve a good life and a long one.
The hubbub about the parliamentary elections had scarcely died down when new problems presented themselves. The mayor and the local council are to be elected. Once again, it will be the first free democratic local elections in decades. It is now November 1990.
Attention, attention. The local council of Ruský Potok announces that
Mikula, your party won the last election. Today there is another election, but no one seems to be going to vote. Why?
I'll tell you straight out, as we do in Ruthenian, the Communist Party wanted the best for everyone. But now capitalism has come back again, and no one knows what the future holds in store for us. People don't want to go and vote. Everything is dearer. How are we going to manage?
Autobusy горі, продукти горі, wszystko горі, no jak, z czego mają ludzie żyć? No z czego?
Not only that, the wages are falling. All right, I only wanted to remind you.
That's all very well, but you must elect a new mayor.
I wouldn't be too sure about that. Today no one is keen to become an official. For one thing, he'll have to collect taxes. Who wants to take that on?
But how do you want to go on here without a mayor?
The local administration and the district made a mistake. Instead of sending proper instructions, they just sent a letter.
Have you complained?
Look, I'm only telling you what I heard. I haven't said a word.
Uri, what are you doing? Why aren't you going to vote?
Me? I'm repairing my aerial.
Why aren't you going to vote?
Vote? Our secretary is supposed to have banned the elections here.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, I heard that they haven't got a candidate for mayor.
There are plenty of candidates who simply sign his own party's list and doesn't really want an election here. It's really due to poor organization, but I haven't said a word here. The less you know, the better it is for you.
Why isn't there a local election in Ruský Potok?
The secretary and the mayor are to blame because they were supposed to organize it.
Mr. Secretary, why wasn't the list of candidates handed in so that the local election could be held?
Well, we didn't send them off in time. We didn't want to do the same thing as the communists in the neighboring villages. One party cannot propose all the candidates when other parties are supposed to put up candidates too.
How many political parties are there in Ruský Potok?
None. We have reached a dead end.
Not even the communists?
They have gone too.
That's not true.
Shut up. They don't exist any longer.
You didn't understand his question. The party still exists, but we just don't do anything anymore. Under the communists, if you didn't work, you were put behind bars. Today there's no work for anyone. Everyone has been sacked. What sort of government is that, I ask you?
Where do you work?
Nowhere. I've been sacked.
Under the communists, there was enough work for everyone. And there was bread too, you got everything you needed. But what it's going to be like in the future, no one knows. It certainly doesn't look good.
Mikula, the landlord, tries to influence people to think as he does, so they will do as he says. He wants to show the world that he's somebody important. Yesterday, we announced the preliminary results of the first day's voting in the local elections in the Slovak Republic. What are the results of 2 days' voting?
The turnout on both days was 63.75%. 94.8% of the votes were for the local councillors, 90% for the local mayors. The final results are not available yet.
The democratic procedure at the election was confirmed by observers from the European Council. One member declared, "We are convinced that these elections were free and democratic."
That's just not true. It's completely false. There was not a soul here from the local district administration to guarantee the elections.
The whole village maintains that the districts have forgotten Ruský Potok, and there were no elections held so that the communist secretary could remain in office. What is your opinion?
There was no election in Ruský Potok because no political party or movement handed in a list of candidates.
Did you hear that the communist mayor has won the election in Prešov?
Communist mayors have been elected in the majority of Slovak towns.
In that case, you might keep your official position in the by-elections in January.
I cannot propose myself for any official position. The electorate must decide that, not me. But I'm willing to stand.
What is the exact date of the by-election?
January the 19th.
Господи Ісусе Христе, Боже наш, помилуй нас, амінь. Прийдіте, поклонимся царю нашому Богу, прийдіте, поклонимся Христові, царю нашому Богу, прийдіте, поклонимся, припадем по самому Господу Ісусу Христу, царю нашому Богу. Услышить Тя, Господь, в день печали, защитить Тя, ім'я Бога Яковля. Возрадуемся о спасении Твоем и во имя Господа Бога нашего возвеличимся.
On that particular Saturday in January, we went once again to the far-flung corner of the Republic. We wanted to find out which party people had voted for and whom they had elected mayor.
Hello, Mikola.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Today is January the 19th. You have elected a mayor. Are you sure you have elected the right person?
Absolutely sure. He's a good, sensible person. The people have elected him.
Jano, what do you think?
I agree. There's the result. He got 116 votes.
And the other candidate, the one put up by the Communist Party?
He's an old-age pensioner. What use is an old bloke like that as mayor? There should be a law against people being allowed to vote by proxy. There was a lot of that in our village.
What do you mean?
For example, one person voted for the whole family, father, mother and so on. They simply took the ballot box around the village. One woman had already put a cross on her ballot paper, so they gave her a new one.
But that's electoral rigging.
True enough. But that's what happened generally. The communists used to drum up support too. Now exactly the same thing happened today.
Congratulations, you are the new mayor. How do you see the future of your community?
At present, none at all. The first meeting of the newly elected local council took place yesterday. We elected the representatives to commissions which are to ensure law and order. It's going to be difficult getting anything done due to a lack of funds.
How should I know? I only know this much, that he's a decent chap. He's the most suitable for the job of all this lot here.
Until now I was a member of the Communist Party. This time the Christian Democrats put me up as their candidate. He used to be 100% communist. He's turned his sails to the prevailing wind and now he's the mayor. There's plenty of people like that in our country. But people voted for him just the same.
Once upon a time. But real life is not a fairy tale. Our tale really happened.
Commentary. English version František Frélich, Jan Valeška, Jiří Harer, Lenka Níčková, Jan Nemejovský, Diane Léze. Film production staff. Camera. Idea, script and director. We wish to thank the inhabitants of Ruský Potok for their cooperation in the making of this film.